Just what a final we've got in store here.
That's right. I am really excited for this match, I have to say. And as you've already pointed out, we have a repeat of yesterday.
Starting off, of course, they were going up to 15. Martin on Berder yesterday. Berder came out on top. A superb form she's in this weekend. But here they go to 5, and we'll see how they get off. I was saying as you were working your way from out there on the podium, the spirit between in both of these teams is amazing. But France in particular at the moment have some real spirit.
Yeah, I do. I do see that as well. I mean, you know, we're just watching them warm up. They seem very, very supportive of each other. A lot of high fives. And clearly when one fencer is on the strip, you hear a lot of cheering from the side and actually a lot of tactical advice from the side. And I think that's a sign of a team that's really cohesive, is that, you know, one fencer knows the other person's fencing so well that they can actually offer the same kind of advice that a coach would.
Yeah, and I said leading the light for the French team is Berder, and along with Manon Brunet. In particular, those two have been fencing together for a while. Interesting to see that Caroline Caroli didn't get the call up. She's still here and she's been supporting the team all day. But they brought in Noutcha and Rifkiss this time.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's kind of going on in the mind of a head coach. It could be that, you know, she's not injured per se, but perhaps she's tired. You know, she's had a long week. Maybe she has, you know, soreness somewhere that the coach sees it fit that it's actually better to rest someone that normally would fence. Looks like this match is getting off to a similar start as the final that we witnessed yesterday. Berder edged herself out to a lead in the beginning of the match. Martin then brought it back all the way to a very, very close match, which finished 15-4-10 at the end, a very dramatic final.
Yeah, a bit of nerves on the line for Berder, I think, because the way she performed in the semi-final against Sofia Sofia Velikaya was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But I think, you know, just watching her fence yesterday, she was just feeling it. And I've seen, you know, a good portion of her fencing today. She doesn't seem quite as loose and relaxed, but still putting forward some excellent fencing.
Solid start from her here, 4-1. Just taking an opportunity to have a chat with Darrell, the coach, in the box as well, while the referee comes to look at the video. Hit stands.
Yeah, and this first match always sets the tone. And as we see, France obviously setting a very clear message to Hungary. They are in it for the win. But Hungary's bench is deep. What do you think?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we saw the Hungarians fall behind against Italy in the semi-finals and pulled it all back together. And we talked about the Hungarians yesterday. As you've got the sort of standouts of Marton and Pushtai in that team. You do not fear for them, but you start to think, well, they are a very strong pair, and of the teams in Europe, you might say, well, the two of them should be able to carry the team to Olympic qualification, but they've been looking, and it looks like they have found a couple of decent fencers to come in and start carrying the reins of that third place.
That's right. I mean, they have young talent coming up, and you know, they will continue to cultivate that third and fourth spot. I'm sure they probably have a 5 and 6 waiting in the wing as well. And yeah, I agree when you say that when you've got two very strong anchor fencers, that usually gives you a good indication that that team's going to perform well across the course of the season. But you need that 3 spot and that 4 spot as well, because that's that person I was mentioning before that you really hope can advance the match, not necessarily pull out of a deep deficit, but continue edging you forward to victory. Yeah, both Hungary and France have very, very physical styles. You know, different technical styles certainly, but a lot of movement up and down the strip, a lot of strength, a lot of power, especially France. You'll see a lot of the French fencers launch into a very fast and very long attack just right off the line.
Yeah, very strong. We saw about that in the first match from Berder. But we always talk about the Hungarians being highly technical fencers, but Pusztai's a little bit. Well, she's broken the Hungarian mold a little bit. She's not quite. She doesn't fit very neatly into just a technical fencer. There's an element of youthful exuberance, flair.
I would agree with you. I think every fencer kind of develops their own personalized style on a country's overall style. I don't know if you remember Yakimenko from Russia.
Yes, certainly do.
He certainly broke from the mold of the Russian fencers. I mean, he had a very strong attack like a lot of the top fencers, but he had his own kind of thing, a wild, very aggressive, powerful style.
Well, patient approach there from Rifkiss. She's had to work hard for that one, but she is up against the 17-year-old, first-year junior, in fact, Lisa Pusztai, but ranked in the top 16 at senior level.
And I have to say, that's just such a remarkable accomplishment at 17 years old, and also earlier today to be put in the spot of anchoring some of their most important matches, most notably against Russia. That's a lot of weight to put on the shoulders of a very, very young fencer.
Yep. But she carries it in her stride, maturity beyond her years. Or, as we were saying yesterday, it's nothing to lose.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that could be the genius of the Hungarian coach's order selection, is that he knows that she's going to get up there and she doesn't have a lot to worry about.
And take the weight of expectation off Manon as well. So perhaps polishing her even more so than she normally is, by taking that pressure off.
Exactly. It could be as well, we'd have to ask the team, but that Manon may say, I prefer to fence in that spot. I prefer to be second to last because, I know that that's the way you're going to get the best fencing out of me.
The flunge does work for Rifkiss this time. Flying through the air, she's one away from the target score, having not done a bad job at all against Pusztai. It seems strange, doesn't it, Justin? When you see Pusztai on the piece now, you just expect her to win. She's that good, that young, that you have to keep reminding yourself she's just 17
I know.
years old.
I'm thinking of my own career at age 17. I was fencing senior competitions, but my focus was junior World Cups, and to see someone at this level, just this consistent, is really, really remarkable.
Yeah, and she seems like she's in exactly the right place. But here we go into the third leg, and it's Renata Katona on for Hungary. How can the third member of the team perform against Manon Brunet?
A very tall fencer, much like Martin. She's going to use her length to her advantage, certainly, against Brunet, who is a smaller, more powerful fencer.
Clearing out the blade that time.
Yeah, I have to say, I love the French style. It's so distinct. The French en garde is recognizable from all the way across the room. The high hand, the very high set body, arched backwards. It's just, it's a classic.
It's very elegant, isn't it? Very elegant indeed. What we've seen from, I think we've seen from Brunet today a little bit of what we saw from Berder yesterday. It's lovely small footwork, changing speed and changing the size of the steps, which is crucial to catching your opponent at the right distance at the right time.
That's right. Sabre is very much a rhythm game, and the better that a fencer can make use of different rhythms of steps, the more likely they are to throw off their opponent's defense, because the sabre defense relies on understanding how your opponent is attacking you, in what rhythm, approximately when they're going to hit. And by, just pulling some deceptive steps, you can very easily evade an opponent's defense.
And that's why we're seeing these Korean hops as well, as I've dubbed them. The Koreans brought in the sort of jumpy, skippy approach, which it kind of really does break the rule book, that one, because you don't want to be off your feet for too long in fencing, because you can't change direction if you need to. But somehow these little hops that they do to break up the distance have been started to be adopted by everybody else in the world of fencing. Yeah,
and that's a stylistic change that didn't really exist when I was competing. You might see it occasionally, but I think you're right to point out it's definitely being adopted much more across all of the weapons. And to the best that I can explain it, it's again about that rhythm, hopping up in the air. As a defender, it's harder to time when they're going to land and launch into their attack. And so, though you're right, you open yourself up to a counterattack. You also can potentially benefit from landing and launching right into attack after that.
Yeah, do we see it from everybody? A little bit of a technical hoo-ha here, and it looks like David Blake is back on camera again. He's had a few moments in the spotlight here.
Yeah, they've kept him busy this weekend.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job as well, him and his team. We have to thank for part of the great show that we've got here in terms of all the technical stuff going on. Scoring boxes, cameras. Without David and his team, you wouldn't be able to listen to Olympic silver medalist Jason Rogers talking expertly about this brilliant sport.
Well, I think it's important to point out, this we have a lot of wires running all over the place. We've got a lot of lights, we've got a lot of cameras, and a team like David's works very hard to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and that is no easy job.
No, and he's been called into action. Manon Brunet's been reattached to this spool as part of the scoring apparatus, and it looks like we're going to be back underway. I think what the problem there was that Katona was getting no light when she hit Brunet.
That is a problematic scenario.
It is a problem
as a fencer.
Yeah, whether you're in the lead or behind, if you can't hit, you won't be able to score points.
That's exactly right. I've seen a number of fencers run down the strip. They think they have their opponent right where they want them, and the body cord comes right out of the saber just before they hit.
Yes, gosh, and that, unfortunately, is the fencer's problem.
Yeah.
Their equipment fails mid-hit. That's tough. An appeal here from the French, and a good call as well, because that one was overturned. Called as a counter riposte for Brunet in the end. But 15-12, it's not a complete disaster for Hungary a third way through the match.
No, it looks like it's going to be a close race. We're going into this sort of second rotation of matches. All fencers are going to have been watching very closely, making adjustments. And I'll be interested to see how sort of this unfolds from a tactical perspective.
Yes, certainly looking okay for France, but not too bad for Hungary. And, well, this could be a very big leg. You'd fancy Anna Marton to want to come out of this one against Margaux Rifkiss with Hungary in the lead.
I would absolutely agree. I think she's probably pretty fired up from the first match with Berder, which she unfortunately went down, and she's going to be looking to regain some ground here. Interesting.
Line presented by Anna Marton, which technically gives you the right of way if you keep it out. But the referee has said that she didn't keep her arm straight enough, or in fact, the point stopped pointing at the target. She waved it up and down was the signal from Vladislav Seamus, who was on the video for that one.
That's right, and that action is always, it's a dicey action. You risk a number of things. You risk missing the target. You risk being judged of having broken line, which is what happened there. Very few fencers use it to good effect.
Yeah, certainly it's at the top level. I've seen one female fencer, employ it perhaps a little bit more than the others. Can you guess which one that is?
Ooh. No, you're gonna have to tell me. I don't think I have any good guesses.
The foilist from Italy trying to qualify.
Ah, yes, of course, Arrigo.
Yeah, she's actually using it less now than she did last year. But certainly I remember in Cancun, I think actually against Manon Brunet, she hit a few times in the fight. 4 or 5 times in the fight with a line. And both in attack and defense as well. So using a little bit of feint disengaging foil. So, I have seen the fencers using it a little bit more over the last couple of years. Yeah,
usually, or at least, again, from my era, line was more of a second intention action. You establish line, which forces your opponent to slow down, to search for the blade. And from that moment, you can do a number of different combinations. You can try and hit counterattack on the wrist when they search for the blade. If they are able to successfully take the blade, you can take the blade back. Or, of course, you can always take 2 steps back and go for parry or post.
Yeah. It's still very relevant today. Now, we thought Manon would fancy coming out of that wanting to have the lead. I'm pretty sure she did want to come out of that with the lead. She didn't score a single point, though.
Yeah, she's going to be frustrated with that performance for sure. Hopefully, she's going to take some of that frustration into that third match, which is going to be the critical match. Obviously, fencing setting up the final match for Pustai. But yeah.
It's tricky. I mean, we talk about the youth of Pustai, but Anna Marton's only 23 years old as well, so she's she's got a few years of experience still to go in this sport.
That's right. I fully expect this team to be a very strong contending team for medals in Tokyo, but if they stick around for 2024, look out. Yeah,
and the French don't look too bad either. And they've got plenty of strength and depth as well. Berder back on, and now it could be a chance for Berder to break open a big lead for the French, but Katona has got other ideas.
Yeah, that's right, a strong attack from the left for Katona. She certainly one of the taller competitors, I would say, at the event, which can always be an advantage, but it can also be a disadvantage. In my experience, the tall fencers are exceptional if they can control their height. And I think Katona's a good example of one of the fencers that can. She seems very, very coordinated, very much her technique, very much on point. But I've fenced a lot of other very, very tall fencers that struggled.
Yeah, rely more on strength, power, and being very good with their reactions as well. You find to see some of the maybe the older Italian fencers show you a bit of that. But in saying that, Jason, I was having an interesting conversation earlier on with one of the coaches, and it seems to me that men's sabre looks like it might well be going towards the land of the giants. There are a lot of very, very big men on the circuit, and more coming through. You look at the Germans, the German juggernaut, Richard Hubers. He's huge. Lokanov, the young Russian who's starting to break into the scene. The Russian team, massive, massive unit.
Yeah, and again, the Germans, I remember, actually they were competing still when I was, when I was still in competition. And actually at that time, there was a Chinese fencer named JZ Wang, who was 6'6" or 6'7". I fenced with him a lot as juniors, and oh my goodness, it was impossible to get away from his attack. Yeah. His arm was like a crane. Yeah. It would just sort of swing out and hit you no matter where you were.
Yeah, you see them in the hotel or in the warm-up areas, fencing competitions, and you think, well, there's an epéiste.
Yeah, that's right, but he did not move like an epéiste.
No.
The score narrowing here, Hungary looking to get back in this.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? We saw Manon come on against arguably the weakest member of the French team, expecting to do well, and didn't score a single point. Berder coming on against arguably the weakest member of the Hungarian team. Same thing, struggling. Weight of expectation, pressure, expectation of perhaps breaking this one open.
Yeah, and again, I think this goes back to the psychology of the team. You've got the individual standout performers. Often they're great team fencers as well, but you have the unsung heroes of the team that maybe don't make, top fours at a lot of World Cups, but they absolutely put on great shows for their team.
Well, it took Berder a while, and she's huffing and puffing as well. She had to put a lot of energy into that, but she has finally taken the French to that target of 25. We go into the sixth leg, and well, this is it's just one interesting match after another. Manon Brunet coming up against Lisa Pustai, two, well, big names at the top of senior women's sabre. Saw an interview in a French newspaper with Manon Brunet post the Rio Olympics, and she was talking about how the development of her psyche and her approach to the sport as what's brought her on since the Olympic Games, and the fact that she was suggesting that perhaps she feared some opponents when she came onto the piste, and now she believes in herself. It's a big change, and you know a lot about the the support services around the sport with betterfencing.com.
That's right. That's right. It's a website that I run, and it was born out of all the stuff that I felt like I had to learn that I didn't learn from my coach. And sports psychology is one of those areas. I struggled a lot with my mental game over my competitive career. Pressure is a very tricky thing to deal with, and I did a lot of work there. And it's all about your psychology. You know, if you walk up on the strip and you're thinking, you know, what if I lose? That is a huge difference, you know, between getting up there and saying to yourself, bring it on.
Yeah. So go and check it out if you haven't had a look at Jason's brilliant website. Growing daily, I understand.
That's right. Our newsletter is growing. You know, we have a lot of great content from the last couple of years. And this year, I'm really excited to be doing a lot more content, especially on this topic, sports psychology. Yeah, so please feel free to check it out, betterfencer.com.
Comes highly recommended. Well, here, Brunet is keeping Pushtai at bay. Pushtai is eager to get off the line. Already been given a friendly warning by referee Seamus. But she's got one thing on her mind by the looks of things, and that is to go after Brunet.
That's right, and we were talking about this earlier. Fencers are often very eager to start that attack as soon as the referee says fence. The reason being that the initiator is the one that is most often going to be judged by having right of way or priority. But sometimes they jump the gun, and referees do not like that.
No, yellow card if you, well, you might get one friendly warning. You might get away with it if there's a big screech in the crowd or there's something going on another piece that distracts you. But you do it again and the referee thinks that you are just trying to get off the mark quickly, you will be carded. That's right, and often you see the fencers almost trying to point it out in the other fencers, and it turns a little bit of a match of words. Yeah. It certainly does, and I haven't seen too much of that here today, to be fair. No, I haven't, but it does. It gets heated sometimes. Yeah, well, here we are. It looks like we're through 6. Although that hit went up temporarily and hasn't come back on to the scoreboard. Didn't quite see why that went up and then came off again, but I think maybe assistant referee Brewer pointed out that the mask clip wasn't on at the start of that action. Right, which would signal a necessary stop of the touch. Yeah, so hit annulled, and Pushtai makes it one better for Hungary, make that 2, and now they are within 1 point. That's right, very clear action there. No, no uncertainty. That was a direct attack from the left. Fancy Brunet to skip in, skip out, and look for a parry riposte here, try and change things up. Possibly. It looks like, you know, Pushtai is really feeling that attack, though. So she may be launching an attack of herself. Yeah, she's done that a few times now, but Pushtai is winning the battle in the middle at the moment. She certainly is. Again, simultaneous in the middle. I've got to fancy Brunet's the one that's going to change. Yeah, and I think this is a difficult place to be. She's managed to pull out a nice attack in preparation there, but sometimes you just don't know. Do I go backwards? Do I go forwards? It's sort of, you feel like either way you might just get scored on, and that is not a fun psychological place to, yeah, and I guess the danger there as well is that coming in and not finishing your attack, Pushtai seems to have the ability to turn what was originally a short attack into a longer one. So if you do try and skip away, then you've got to make sure your defense is solid. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's one of the worst feelings is to know that if you try and pull your opponent short, that he or she may be able to sort of just skip forward 3, 4 more steps, push you all the way to the end of the strip. It makes you feel very trapped. Yeah. Closing distance, feel like you're being hunted down. Well, the Hungarians have been hunting down the French, and they're one behind as we go into the crucial final third of the match. This for gold in Salt Lake City.
Katona almost finessed that one in there. Placed her blade underneath Rifkiss's arm.
Lovely parry riposte as well to follow it up.
That's right, and that is a classic Hungarian strength. That their arm and hand-eye coordination is just remarkable. Rifkiss with a counter parry riposte, showing the French can do that too.
Yeah, very nice hit there from Rifkiss. I think she set that one up as well. In the second intention with a fake attack. Patience on the attack from the French fencer. But Katona looking, wow, she's looking like she's one of the world's best at the moment.
Yeah, going back, taking several steps back and just throwing a parry to block your opponent, that is not easy. And she made it look easy.
Oh, great stuff from Rifkiss there. I think she really did go for that attack, got blocked, and was so sharp with her counter parry.
I agree, and that's just complete reaction. You know, these fencers take, you know, hundreds of hours of lessons over the course of the year, drilling that exact action over and over again. So it's just, your arm just knows exactly where to go if you fall short.
Well, impressive stuff from both of these fencers. In fact, not just in this particular leg, but throughout the match. Well, I think that was set up by Katona. She learnt from the last one, didn't go to head, changed the line of her remise or a reprise of her attack.
Yeah, and those are the hard changes that you have to make, because it's not a big change, but it's an important change.
And all of a sudden, Hungary are in the lead. Well, this one's not, couldn't be closer now. There is a video review here, but I don't think the referee's going to change this. There's only going to be a point lead for one of these teams. And up next, well,
that's right,
perhaps the strongest member of the Hungarian team, who's performed probably the worst of the three, Anna Marton coming on, up against Manon Brunet, who's not been doing too bad.
Yeah, this is it, shall we say. Both of these fencers are going to be looking to, you know, edge their lead forward, get them to 40, set up their anchors to bring it home.
Yeah, but the French look like they might well be making a substitution, and that can only be Cécilia Berder coming off and Sarah Noutcha coming on.
That is a very interesting decision. Taking the lead and pulling your anchor out in a gold medal scenario, I have to say that's a very unorthodox thing to do. But Durrell has the experience of many, many years as the head coach for France. He must know what he's doing.
Yeah, Noutcha, given her youth, her age, she's very young. She has actually got a senior medal by my reckoning. I think she got a bronze either in Orléans or at the end of last season somewhere.
That certainly would not surprise me. This French team is very deep, as we would say. I'm sure their 5, 6, and 7 are probably also all medal winners as well.
Patience from Brunet to get us off the mark here in the 8th leg. Now, listen, I hate to let you go, but I'm going to have to, because you've got to go and do your real job. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you here in the box, Jason, and I hope to have you back many, many more times.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Enjoy the presentation at the end. Thanks, Jason. Jason Rodgetts there, the Olympic silver medalist from 2008, and he's off to go and help with the medal ceremonies here. So just me now till the end. And it looks like Manon Brunet has found the solution. We know that Durrell, the French coach, will be looking at Marton's form. And they will have a clear plan of how to handle her. Don't forget, she got the silver medal yesterday in the individual Anna Marton. And that's a lot of miles she's covered on those feet. Referee's given this one for Brunet. Marton has called for a video review. And it was a good call because the hit's been overturned, and that phrase called simultaneous. Brunet using the defensive line on the back line and finds a para-riposte there as well. And a big scream from the French woman. One away from our target score for the penultimate leg of the gold medal match. Those tiny little steps working so well for Brunet throughout the day here, and finishes with a beautiful attack in the end. Waited patiently, and France have taken a grip hold of this one. Well, so the music blares out. It is the final countdown. And it is Sarah Noutcha who's come on as the replacement for Cécilia Berder. And looking at Berder, she doesn't look injured. She doesn't look like there's a problem. And she looks very relaxed. They've given Noutcha a big chance here to show what she's made of. And she's up against Lisa Pusztai. Well, Pusztai and the Hungarians may see this as an opportunity to take advantage of a big tactical call using the substitute as the anchor. Well, a hop from Noutcha just as she came off the line, and Pusztai felt that she'd got the right away, but Vladislav Seamus says the blade was blocked. A long attack from Noutcha. She hasn't been hit yet in this fight. Sorry, that's a lie. She's been hit once. And there's another for Pusztai. But France, with their substitute on it in the final leg, are 2 away from taking gold in Salt Lake City. Pusztai having other ideas. No room for error for Lisa Pusztai. Noutcha skips away from that one. Now looking to build a patient attack. Blade well out of the way. Goes for the flunge in the end, but it's parried by Lisa Pusztai. Pusztai closing the gap further. Noutcha has to reset. Last hit often the toughest. And another parry-riposte. The French camp and the French box looking very relaxed indeed. Supportive words from them. Noutcha again skipping away from Pusztai. Looking to build the attack again. Pusztai with a strong defense, arm out a long way. Several meetings of the blade, in the end given it another parry-riposte for Pusztai. So does Noutcha change here? She's not been successful in short attack or the long attack. She's set a trap, maybe. Throw in a fake attack, go short, and then work off whatever Pusztai does. Well, this time Pusztai comes straight off the line, perhaps sensing some hesitation coming from Noutcha. Hungary within 2. ability to separate those ones. Both came off the line at the same time, at the same speed. Well, there you go, Noutcha stepping away this time. Now on the attack again, but Pushtar's been so strong with her defence. But finally, Noutcha lands a long attack and the French team run onto the piste. It took her a while to get over the line, but Sarah Noutcha, the replacement for Cécilia Berder in the anchor leg, has taken France over the line, and they are the team champions of Salt Lake City 2019. What a team the French are.